Hey you guys, it's Peter, and today I want to do a video discussing something that I find very, very serious that is going on right now. It's a TikTok trend that I take huge issue with that was brought to my attention today, and that's why I'm not doing my funny haha intro that I usually do, which I know tons of people are going to say, Peter just went right into it and he didn't do his intro, so this must be a very serious video. And yes, to me, it is a very serious video. I'm going to be talking about addiction and recovery today. And before I get into this video, for anyone out there that doesn't know my story or doesn't know my background and you've never watched a video of mine before, I want to say that I have been sober for 27 and a half years. I got sober December 17th, 1994, begrudgingly. I did not want to get sober, and went into treatment, and I've shared my recovery story on here many times. I'm more than willing to go in and do an entire video talking about my recovery journey and my periods where I wasn't going to meetings and I wasn't doing anything active for my recovery whatsoever, which were some of the lowest parts of my life, even lower than when I was using. I had no emotional sobriety, no spiritual foundation. I had really no friends but one in recovery, and I felt very, very alone, and I didn't feel like I had many people to talk to. And, I think other than that, the lowest points in my life have been when I was in active addiction and wasn't really even aware of how I was affecting other people around me, but most importantly, how I was affecting myself and my life, because I was so numb and I didn't care and I didn't want to feel, and I had so much pain and so much trauma that I used drugs and alcohol to mask, and it would temporarily, right? Like, that's the problem with addiction, is that for a time period it does mask that pain. That's why we call, like with heroin addiction, chasing the dragon, because at first it does the job. It feels great. Like, it takes away the feelings, it takes away the pain, it takes away the memories, it takes away all of that. But then what you're left with is feeling even worse, because what happens is your baseline drops and you feel even worse coming out of that. And so you have to do even more and do even more and do even more to constantly go after this feeling of getting rid of all of this pain inside, right? I am also a believer that there are some alcoholics and addicts that are predisposed, like I believe I am, genetically predisposed to be an alcoholic or an addict. I don't believe that that has to be the case with everybody. I also do not believe that everybody has to work a 12-step program like I do to remain clean and sober. There are so many ways for people to stay clean and sober today. There are many definitions for how people do that, and mine is not to judge. Mine is to just tell my story, and hopefully one person can hear it, and one person out there can hopefully, be like, oh, well, if he can do it, then maybe I can too. And then they can stay sober and they can pass on their story to somebody else. And what we do is we plant seeds along the way. And just because I'm telling my story today doesn't mean that somebody is going to hear it today and get sober. They might hear it, remember it, and be like, oh, Peter did it. And his story is similar to mine, and 5 years down the road, when they're in a really, really low place of their life, they might be reminded of that and be like, well, there are options. There are things that I can do. We are in a crisis situation in the United States right now in many different ways, obviously, but when it comes to addiction and recovery and mental health, addiction recovery treatment is extremely expensive in our country. It is not affordable, and even the programs that, like in Indianapolis where I live, we have fantastic halfway houses, we have fantastic detox programs, residential programs that are affordable for people, but there are wait lists that are a mile long. So you might get on a wait list and 3 months later get in. Well, that's too long to wait for an addict that needs treatment today, okay? And unless you have a $5,000 or $10,000 check that you or your family can write to get you somewhere into treatment, it's just not good enough. And so we're having alcoholics and addicts die all the time. Mental health treatment, don't even get me started, and is even worse, because unless you are like threatening to take your life or hurt other people, they won't really take you at this point. And then it's even more expensive than addiction recovery treatment. So it's just this complete mess that needs to be reevaluated. I am somebody that believes in the advocacy of affordable treatment for mental health and substance abuse in our country. Like, we need this, because people are dying. And I say this in a lot of my videos. When we talk about the United States being considered a United States of addiction, is what it's referred to in many ways, that an addict dies every 8 minutes. An opioid addict dies every 8 minutes in our country, okay? So I've been making this video so far. I'm at 5 minutes and 11 seconds. Somebody is already on their way out, having passed away, as I've made this video. And that is tragic. That is sad. And those might be people that have never been introduced to recovery. Those might be people that have been shamed and shamed and shamed and shamed. And so they don't really know what to do or how to do it. They don't have people that are leading them with love and kindness to these options. They don't have people that are setting boundaries and limits with them where they can sit there and go, you know what? Like, I really need to do something about this. And they haven't been, provided the resources. So I'm not big when it comes to shaming addicts and alcoholics for their behaviors, because I think it's just innate of addicts and alcoholics to act in ways that other people might shame. And I'm not necessarily saying that we have to wrap our hands and our arms around addicts and alcoholics and love them, although like there is a saying that loving, tolerance is our code. I'm not a big believer in enabling addicts. I'm a believer in setting limits and boundaries with love, detaching with love from addicts and alcoholics, while at the same time, I'm not saying that it's necessarily writing a check for $10,000, but providing them with the resources needed to help them find ways and options that are affordable for them to get the help that they need, okay? So now this brings me to the topic at hand. I was on Twitter today, and I saw that Margot Indigo posted on her, and she has given me full consent. Hold on a second. She has given me full consent to read these tweets, so I want to read them to you in fullness because I think it's really important for you to understand how I felt when I first read her tweets about something that I was completely unaware of. So Margot posted, and I will link Margot's Twitter below. Margot is somebody that is very vocal on her beliefs about world issues, and I love that she's so open with what she has to say and what she believes in. So thank you, Margot, for that. I think it's hard sometimes on social media to share what you believe in or share what you think is right or how you think things should be done when you're at scrutiny of thousands and thousands of other people that will judge you. So Margot posted on Twitter, she said, hold on a second, let me get to the very first one. This trend of posting addicts on drugs or drunk in public, clearly struggling, and putting it on TikTok with an hashtag of LOL addict, song behind it, and calling it addiction awareness is infuriating. You're adding to the stigma, not helping. You'd feel different if that was you. Shame on you. So I read this comment, okay? And I have had many friends of mine. Well, first of all, I made a comment a couple years ago in a video where I said I've had thousands of friends of mine that have died from addiction. I've been sober for 27 and a half years, okay? If I have a friend or somebody that I've met at a meeting or somebody that I know of through somebody else pass away every month, which is true, maybe 2, maybe 3. I hear people all the time. The reality is, I don't know that it's 1,000, but it's definitely at this point, hundreds and hundreds of people that have passed away from addiction. And if they haven't passed away, they're incarcerated and not getting the treatment that they need, or they have left their families. They're not being able to provide for their kids or take care of their kids, or their kids have been taken away from them. So families are being disintegrated, and they're not, it's the sadness that goes along with active addiction just breaks my heart every single day, and honestly is one of the reasons why I stay sober. I got sober so young. I was 22 and a half when I got sober, and I look back at that and I think to myself sometimes, well, maybe I'm not an alcoholic. Maybe I'm not an addict. I got sober so young. Maybe it was just a phase for me. The fear of what I would lose in my life going back to what it was before, which was pure hell, I share some of the stories on here, but I don't share all of them. I had a drug dealer that he thought it was real funny when I would go to his house and I wanted him to front me some coke, and he would say, okay, you want me to front you? And he had all of his friends sitting around there, and he'd say, come here. And he would put a loaded gun cocked in my mouth. And at the time, I didn't think anything of it, right? I cannot imagine if somebody recorded that to throw up in my face years later. I can't even imagine. And that probably wouldn't have gotten me sober at the time. That probably would have added to the pain and the trauma that would have just made me want to sink even lower into my desperation and use even further. And the only thing it would probably do is make me not go to that dealer anymore and just go to somebody else that wouldn't record me. So it's just going to push people away, this whole like thing that they're doing, okay? So I didn't know much about it. So then I'm going to read you the rest of Margot's tweets in just a second. But Margot was kind enough to reach out to me and kind of explain this to me because I went and I looked for this hashtag and I really couldn't find anything. So she said to me, so if you go to the sound, there's so many under that. And then she linked the sound and it's an original sound. Now, I don't want to play it for you and I don't want to bring this young lady any attention, negative attention, because she didn't mean it in any way negative whatsoever when she wrote it. And it's almost kind of like a folk song about recovery. So I do want to read to you some of the lyrics because I think that it's really kind of profound, honestly, coming from a young lady. Hold on a second. I'm trying to open in my app. I'm trying to read you the lyrics. Hold on a second. Why is this not playing for me? I had it where it was playing before. The lyrics are kind of almost kind of like a folk song. Why can't I get this? Oh, here it is. So there once was a man who'd had no sleep. He'd been up 6 days on methamphetamine, and it talks a lot in here about methamphetamine. The voices grew loud through the blind seed creep. Paranoia is starting to grow. And then it goes on, and then at the end of it, she says, hold on a second. Soon, one day when the twerking is done, off to bed he'll go. One day he'd finally had enough, so he flushed what he had left of the stuff. He no longer could stand to live like that and started walking down Recovery Road. Now no shadow men will come and he'll never have to dig through the carpet for crumbs. Finally the twerking is done, off to bed he goes. And then it goes back and starts over again. So to me, that is like a really nice recovery song. And if you guys decide in the comment sections that you think that I should link this song, let me know and I will link the song. I just don't want this girl to be given any like negative attention that she doesn't deserve because her meaning was well-meaning. And Margot even says that when she messaged me. She said, hold on a second. She said, I think it's important to say, too, that the girl who made the original audio meant it as a genuine recovery song, and it was taken and used to make fun of addicts in public. It really upsets her. So I don't want to bring any negative attention to her, but I think it's a fantastic folk song about recovery. I really do. And it's kind of just like beat out. Like it's just like she just sings it a cappella, and I'm blown away, you know, it's like Whiskey Lullaby, like Alison Krauss, like I love that song, you know, and that's a song about addiction as well. And, you know, and it has that quality to it. To take something beautiful about recovery and turn it into something ugly about addiction really saddens and breaks my heart. So I'm not going to go into all of these different TikToks that you can find on TikTok using this original sound. If you guys want to look it up, you can. But let me just tell you, the next one that you go to is this person, and they have hashtag it with this song. They're using this song in the background, and it's this woman, and she's obviously intoxicated in some kind of way. The next one is, it says tweaker arrested, and it shows this guy getting arrested and whatnot, and then it has the song in the background. There's another one of a woman. These are just the highest rated ones. There's another one of this woman in this parking lot that's like dancing around, and they have the song to the background, and there's like, now there's two other women that are coming out of the car. I mean, and it's just, it's one after another, okay, of addicts, obviously in some kind of public display of addiction that they have recorded. Most of the people that are recording it don't even know these people. They've not given their consent, okay? Which Margot gets into, so I want to get into that. So then Margot goes on to say, in her, hold on a second, in her tweet, she says, this is not awareness. Drug-induced paranoia and schizophrenia is very real and it's terrifying if you've ever been there. You truly feel like you're making all the sense in the world, which is true, and videotaping them while they're searching for hidden cameras out of delusion is horrible, okay? And then she goes on to say, this is not awareness. These people are disconnected from reality. They are sick as addicts. Yes, we are very, very sick. It's how well we maintain that sickness every day. If you take videos like this, delete them, reflect, feel the shame and embarrassment you made them feel. And then she goes on up here to the top of the one. I'm going to make sure I read all of them. She says, I had multiple friends take videos of me nodding out, dropping lit cigarettes, falling over, falling out, or turning blue. I'll never know where they ended up, but that took something from me I can't explain. It's an invasion of privacy. I mean, it totally is an invasion of privacy and personal rights. You feel like an object, like if you lived or died, no one would care. If you didn't help raise awareness, I knew I was sick. Oh, wait, it didn't help raise awareness. I knew I was sick. It was no secret knowing someone took a video of me without my consent in my darkest days, pushed me deeper in, not farther out. It's dehumanizing. Offer help, set boundaries, or leave. Simple as that. We struggle enough. And it's so true. And I think that Margot's words are so beautiful, and I think just encapsulate everything that an active addict feels at that time. You know, and when you're dehumanized as an addict and you're made to feel worse than you already feel, you're not wanting to help yourself, you know? And I was just talking to my cousin about this today. My cousin and I just did a video where we talked about our grandma. And, you know, we were driving around today and we were talking about my addiction and my recovery and things like that, you know? And I was saying to her that, like, when I went into treatment, I didn't want to go. I was forced into treatment, and thank God my father was willing to pay for my 5th treatment at that time, okay? My 5th treatment. And I can remember the anger that he felt and everything that I had put them through. And yet I, as an entitled addict at that time, that really didn't have much memory from being in blackouts most of my time, you know, was like, why is he angry? Like, I didn't do anything to him. It took me years to fully understand how I affected other people around me and why, you know, but even then, my dad was willing to help me, which is why every year on my sobriety birthday, I call my dad and I thank him for paying for my treatments and thanking him for my education, because if it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't be here today, you know, and I am forever grateful for that. I'm forever grateful for the 12-step program that I am part of, and my friends in recovery and the fellowship that I have. You know, and we're not a glum lot. My best friend and I say that all the time. We're not a glum lot. We have a lot of fun. You know, we do things that normal people are able to do today that I wasn't able to do as an addict and active addict. I wasn't able to function on a daily basis. Functioning to me looked like putting anything in my system that I possibly could to make me feel even just a little bit better than I felt. And then when that got to be normal for me, I just had to do that to maintain that, because I was so afraid of going back to what it would feel like if I didn't have that in my system. That's what we're taking videos of and putting it to a song so that you can possibly have a TikTok career and get enough views and enough followers on TikTok. You're sick. You're a sick individual that does that, and I don't have a lot of sympathy for you. I don't. It breaks my heart. And what it further does is it further, you know, defines that addicts are people that should be shamed, okay? And when we're already living in a society where there is no affordable treatment to save people's lives, I've now gone 17 minutes, 2 people have died in this country, if not more, from addiction, okay? What it further does is it dehumanizes addiction in our country. It further makes people believe that there should not be affordable substance abuse and mental health treatment, and yet it further pushes away any answers that we could possibly have to solving this whole conundrum that we have of addiction in our country. When what we are is people that don't know that we need help at the time that we need it the most. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that these people, I can't believe that these TikToks, I mean, they're sitting there and they're like recording them from farther away. They don't know these people, that they're recording these people that are going through this, that I don't know, that could have kids at home, that could have parole officers or probation officers, that could be doing all this kind of stuff, and they're putting them on there for display like zoo animals. It breaks my heart. It really, really does. I'm not saying, okay, that addicts and alcoholics should be just let to get away with anything. I don't believe that. I am a believer in setting limits and boundaries for addicts and alcoholics. Hell, I talk about it on my Peterisms channel all the time, okay? I am a believer that addicts and alcoholics must suffer consequences to get sober, that they must feel enough pain. I believe that addicts and alcoholics, we must feel enough pain to have the desire to want to get sober, because it has to outweigh the alleviation and the fun that we ever had it. I mean, there wasn't much, you know, giggle in the bottle left for me. There was a little bit, but there wasn't much. But the addiction and the negativity has to outweigh, and the consequences, any kind of benefit that we're getting from the drugs, or we're not going to have a desire to stay sober. That's just period, right? Shame is not a consequence that is usable. It just makes us feel worse about ourselves. And I can speak to this. I know this to be true as an addict. I already felt horrible about myself enough. And it took me so many years to finally feel good about myself and feel like I was worthy and that I was deserving of love and that I was good enough just like anybody else. I just needed to do the things to continue to feel that way. I want to thank Margot for allowing me to read her tweets. I think they're really, really important. I think it's fantastic that she brought attention to this. I think it's a needed topic. I think for any of the addicts and alcoholics out there that have a story and have a YouTube channel or have a Twitter or whatever, tell your story. Plant the seed. Allow people to see that there is hope from addiction out there, not just shame. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.